Hi, welcome back to the Elite Automation YouTube channel. Today I want to talk to you guys about how to get out of a trades career path and into more of an industrial automation career path. Now, I get asked this question pretty frequently from different types of trade individuals, so I'm going to do different videos talking specifically towards different trades, but these will still kind of all apply to all the different trades. In the first trade we're going to be discussing today will be an electrician. So whether you're an electrician's apprentice, electrician's journeyman, if you're overall in that union space, working as an electrician, pulling wire, whether union or not, it doesn't really matter, but you're constantly on a daily, you're pulling wire, maybe you're even a lineman for some type of utility company or contractor of utility companies. So if you're dealing with electricity at all, you kind of have two different paths that you can take in order to get into a different career path. And that's the engineering side and that's the electrical wiring side. So it's going to be a little bit easier of a transition if you get into the electrical wiring side versus trying to go into electrical engineering. And then once you go from electrical wiring, you might be able to move your way into electrical engineering from there. Now, don't get me wrong. Like if you're willing to go back to college or go to college while you're still working your electrical degree type of job, feel free to do so. And that's a very, very good approach if that's what you want to do and if you want to end up getting into an engineering role. But one thing I noticed with a lot of people who are already in trades is that they have a family, they've been doing it for a long period of time, 5, 10 years, and they're looking for a career shift. They're looking for something a little bit different. They've been doing the same thing for so long. And really, I think they're just kind of bored with what they want to do. So make sure you put it down in the comments below if this relates to you, what your particular reason is why you would want to trade. If you have a particular reason why you would want to change careers, or you already have changed careers and you have some advice for anybody else. So the reason why I think somebody should get onto the shop floor first is because your skills are more relatable. And also, you're going to be much more successful with a systems integrator than, say, for instance, maybe another manufacturing facility. Now, don't get me wrong. It depends on what type of exposure you've had in the industry. So, for example, you might be an electrician that literally just pulls like 3-phase wire, 120 wire for commercial buildings. Also, too, if you're in residential, I would, as quickly as possible, get into the commercial side of things because that's what's going to be really applicable to individuals looking into getting into manufacturing automation. The residential is like quite a bit off in the type of things you do. Really in residential, the main things that you're going to have that are similar is like if you think about like light switches and light bulbs, you have your switch, you have your load, but there's still going to be not as much exposure to the things that are in manufacturing and automation. So going on the commercial side of things, and especially industrial commercial, is the way to go. And depending on the job, that's a big thing. No matter what type of position you're going to get into, it really does matter the employer that you work for, right? So you want an employer that's open to letting you do jobs outside of what your job is. So if you go work for like another union type of company where like electricians are only allowed to do electricians work and maybe they're only allowed to pull 3-phase wire or something along those lines where there's constraints and restrictions, you want a company that is going to be more open to allowing you to do different things, right? So maybe you do start off as just a standard electrician, right? And maybe you start the job at the job interview. I'd highly suggest at the job interview, these things need to be mentioned. Hey, like, I'm an electrician. Maybe I'm applying for an electrician's position at this manufacturing facility, but I want to actually do more like electrical maintenance and actually work and troubleshoot on the electrical equipment. And this kind of gets a little bit into what type of electrician work you came from, because there's some electrical contractors that's already part of their business, right? They have like definitely a huge part of their business that's like just pulling 3-phase wire. And then there's another part of their business that is more of like the maintenance and electrical troubleshooting side of things, or doing more controls level electrical wiring. If you can navigate to having a job where you're doing electrical controls type of wiring for an electrician's type of company, that would be like the easiest transition, right? Especially maybe if you're in a position or a company where it doesn't have the opportunity. If you maybe go to another company of a more similar type, that transition should be very easy, and just let them know like, hey, I want to be in this type of department. And then also, I think I said this before, but systems integrator, right? Systems integrators are generally, especially smaller to mid-size systems integrators, are going to be a lot more likely to give you opportunities into things that you may not have had the opportunity to get into before. Maybe you even want to do a little bit of mechanical, and that might be an option at a smaller one. You know, they want you to turn a wrench on top of laying in some wires, and you're going to have a bunch of different exposure exposures, and on top of that, you could be adding a valuable skill set to somebody like a systems integrator. Because systems integrators, a lot of times, they don't have their own electricians unless they're a pretty large company and they're constantly doing installs and they need to run wire and they need to run a ton of supply wire. But the big thing about systems integrators is generally the amount of supply wire that we have to run is very minimal. And then a lot of times the plant supplies that for us. So in that case, like, we don't need a full-time person to do that type of job. But the fact that you have that skill set, maybe for the customers that do require that we run our own wires, you can say, hey, look, I'll tell you what, I will run the conduits, I'll pull the wire for this particular job, and that's going to save your system integrator company thousands of dollars, which is just another positive to add, right? Another big thing that you have to think about is confidence. So you as an electrician probably know quite a bit about electricity, or should at least know quite a bit about electricity, right? And so if you have troubleshooting experience with electricity and you have a good fundamental understanding of electricity, then it shouldn't be that hard to convert just doing three-phase wire runs or whatever troubleshooting you're doing throughout that and transition it into doing more like control wiring or panel building or routing of cables for a system. All these things should be fairly easy for you to pick up on. So the fact that you already have that electrical background should give you the confidence. And then transitioning into getting more of an advanced career, as you learn the panel building side of things and you're reading prints, you'll start to understand the prints, right? You start to get very familiar with the prints, and over time you'll be able to figure some things out very simply, and you'll start to understand the more complex things, the things of a control system that you may not have seen in the power supply side of things. Now over time, especially if you put your own effort forth and try to really understand the electrical engineering prints, then you essentially will in a way start becoming an electrical engineer, right? You'll start to see like, okay, we use this gauge of wire for this thing, and you'll start to see the circuitry and how the circuitry ends up being kind of the same. Like, say, for instance, for us, I self-taught myself electrical engineering, and I did that through doing panel building, and I did that through just reading prints, and then, after doing so many robotic cells, I kind of just understood, okay, well, we need three-phase power to come in, okay, we need to have a transformer that converts that down to 120, and then going from 120 into a power supply that converts 120 to 24 volts DC, or we're going to use a three-phase power supply that converts to 24 volts DC, which is the way we like to do it now. But you'll start to see these different similarities between jobs, and for me now, I can envision a robotic cell electrical engineering in my head. And like, boom, boom, boom. Okay, you just tell me the different components that are in it. I can just already map out all the pages in my head. I can pretty much wire a panel by memory or electrically engineer one by memory. I don't even need prints. No, I mean, you have to have the prints, right? Or else you're going to wire something and then it's not going to match what's in anybody else's head, right? Nobody else is going to know how the thing was wired. So things definitely have to be electrically engineered first. And to be honest, a part of my electrical engineering and my ability to learn electrical engineering was because somebody did not include something in a print, and I just went ahead and wired it the way I think it should be wired. I redlined it on the electrical drawings, sent it back to him, said, hey, you forgot this, or hey, this wasn't on there, so I went ahead and wired it like this. If this is not right, just let me know and I'll change it. And through that, I had way more successes than failures in that, and there's like, oh yeah, I missed that. Like, thanks, dude. Like, I'll get that updated. Those type of things definitely promote more exposure. And remember, this part of things is like not you going back for a degree. This is you transitioning straight from an electrician's to a panel builder or an automation electrician, those type of job positions without any degree or certification or anything like that. Just taking your current skills and just essentially switching your job, right? The one downfall is not everybody has access to systems integrators. There's some areas in the country where there's a lot more systems integrators. Like if you're up in the Michigan area, you can probably find a systems integrator. Really like Detroit, Chicago, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Southern Indiana, really Northern Indiana as well. Like, these are kind of some hot spots that I'm aware of for automation. And don't get me wrong, there's other hot spots too, and there's other particular cities. And generally what you'll see is particular areas have a lot of automation because of companies stemming from other companies, right? So this is the case for Elite Automation, right? I worked for systems integrator in our area for like 10 years, and here I am now. So that's kind of how the thing happens. So like whenever you find one systems integrator, you'll probably find other systems integrators around them. And if you're looking to go into more of the engineering side of things and you want to go for the degree, you have two options. One, you can go ahead and convert to the systems integrator or a manufacturer that will give you those opportunities, or you can just continue your electrician's job and start going to college. But either way, if you're gonna be like an engineer, especially for a lot of facilities, right? Whenever you put the title engineer on something, most of these companies are requiring engineering degrees. Now for like PLC programmer or like robot programmer or what we consider a controls engineer, for some reason, those are still not considered like engineers, and you can kind of get away with not having engineering degrees for those particular positions. It's kind of funny the way it works out, because in my mind, electrical engineering is way easier than controls engineering, and having an engineering degree for electrical engineering, it just blows me away, because to be honest, I can't hire an electrical engineer and them have the abilities that I need them to do to be able to do a job. So realistically, whenever you graduate with that, unless you're going to some school that has like controls manufacturing specific classes, you're gonna come out of school and you're really gonna know how to do like circuit boards or something like that. If you do go to college, I would highly suggest, if there's an ability, choose a college that has like manufacturing related classes, or if you can take electives in like motors and motors controls, or definitely think about the things that are inside of industrial. And if you want me to elaborate on this more, I can, just put it in the comments below, and we can make a video on this as well. But you definitely want like control circuits, motor circuits, like these are the things you want to be involved with in your schooling and your work. And I think it's very important when it comes to schooling, because so much schooling, especially like for somebody in manufacturing and for systems integrators, like colleges are not outputting the engineers that we need. So you're almost better off just studying things on your own, or the best thing is literally just landing a position with a company that gives you that exposure. That's way better off. You're way better off getting true exposure to the thing you want to work with for 2 years at an employer than you are a college degree. Me personally, I would rather hire somebody that has the 2 years of experience than hire them as an electrical engineer. It's 2 years of panel building experience. I'd rather hire them as a mechanical or an electrical engineer. The one thing you got to keep in mind though is not every single company is like that. When you go into the engineering side of things, a lot of the big dog companies, they want the engineering degree, right? So any of the companies that don't require degrees, they're probably going to think the same way as me. They want people who can practically do the things, people who have good work ethics. They're going to care about work ethics, right? That's what every company should care about, is work ethic over anything, and culture, right? Not just work ethic, but culture as well. Does somebody fit their culture? Say for instance, for like us, we're like a go type of company. So we want those type of people in our company. And if you just want to go get a degree, don't necessarily care about the engineering side of things, any of the automation, robotics, industrial technologies type of degrees, you can go in there and you can ask them about the different classes, right? And they'll tell you. You can get an associate's degree. My degrees are in associate's degrees. I have 2 associate's degree, industrial technologies and advanced automation and robotics. And I got the mechanical and electrical concentration of those things, right? So those are great degrees if you just want to have a degree under your belt for the confidence, for just yourself, right? And it's going to give you an edge when it comes to getting a job with an employer. Because the one thing that is nice about a degree for an employer is it says, hey, you can stick to something for a couple of years without quitting, which in my mind, I don't care as much about that, because if you can stick to a job for 2 years, then you can probably say the same thing. And also too, this is funny, I hate to say this one too, when it comes to that associate degree versus the electrical engineering degree, I personally would still rather have the associate degree over the electrical engineering degree, because the associate degree is more practical to what we're doing versus the electrical engineering degree is going to be missing a lot of different things. Keep that in mind, and still do not forget that a lot of the companies want the engineering degree, not the associate's degree, the 4-year engineering degree. So with that being said, just keep that in mind, because I don't want you to take this advice. You go take a 2-year associate degree, say I went and applied to be an engineer and I couldn't get the position because I don't have an engineering degree, right? So keep that in mind. That's a hard thing that you have to keep in mind. And I'm not going to say that you can't be an electrical engineer, because I'll hire somebody as an electrical engineer with an associate's degree or with no degree, right? As long as they can show me, oh, I can do, I can do the things. If there's any other values you'd like to add to this video, insights that you've learned, make sure to put them down in the comments below. Or if you just have any other questions, we're going to be doing all different types of career-based videos as well as industrial automation videos. Just go look at our channel. You'll see like the whole mix of different types of content we have. We're really just targeted on anything around just career education, all the different things, right? All the things automation, manufacturing related. So we're a channel for that. We're not a channel for one particular thing though, so that is one thing. Playlists, right? If you want to follow a particular thing, we generally have playlists for every particular thing that we have. So you can just kind of keep tabs on a particular playlist and then just keep checking in on that, and we'll have more content coming pretty consistently. We generally post a minimum of one video a week, and we plan to keep on doing that into the future. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.